listening to the Chartographers.
Hello, everybody! You're listening to the Chartographers Music Loving Podcast, music loving people, blah 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 blah. Guys, it is our last ranking episode. It is part 2 of Billy Joel. We are very excited about it. Just telling you right now, stop what you're doing. If you're one of those motherfuckers that listens only because you want to know what the number 1 album is, you are missing out. We had quite the discussion about a bunch of albums, some of which we'll be talking about in more detail here on our part 2, but please, listen to the part 1. It's very, very important. I need to introduce the people who are here. Of course, it is me, Evan Sadi. It is the Brenda to my Eddie. It is Taran O'Reilly. And it is, of course, Brice Ezell. Consequences ground.
Bonjour.
Yes.
Consequences.
I heard that the second it came out. I'm just like, oh, that's not right. I also like to briefly mention our sponsor as well. If you want to, please check out Mr. Cacciatari's down on Sullivan Street. If you mention the Chartographers when you place your order, you can get half off on a bottle of red and a bottle of white. So, guys, listen, Billy Joel, he's a fascinating little individual. And we are down to 6 albums of his 12-album discography. Again, we're not going to mention the albums that we talked about before, because that's for part 1. But just so you know, we are down to 1973's Piano Man, 1976's Turnstiles, 1977's The Stranger, 1978's 52nd Street, 1980's Glass Houses, and 1983's An Innocent Man. So, some would argue that those are the big ones, the classics, and I think they are there for a reason. We're going to dive into them in great, wonderful detail. So now, between the three of us, we have to come to a consensus ranking. So, there again, part 1, there was a lot of nominations for our 8 and 7 spots, so we're going to probably talk about some of those albums. But right now, Brice Ezell, if you had your personal druthers of our remaining albums, what would you pick for our number 6 slot?
So I don't know if this is non-diplomatic because ties are lame, but in this spot, given our discussion in part 1, y'all got to listen to the part 1 discussion, I should add, would add in this spot for number 6 either An Innocent Man or Piano Man, both involving man as the title. Hashtag bring down the patriarchy. Billy Joel patriarchy.
Wow. Okay.
Well, for the record, some of the guests tend to drink a little bit before they record any particular episode, which explains why you just heard us
drink and read Judith Butler.
By some of the guests, he means everyone, every time, except Bobby.
So let me explain our rationale,
please.
And both of these come from points that I've somewhat developed in the previous episode, but I'll more substantially develop here. With Piano Man, you have some of Billy Joel's great songwriting moments. I think Piano Man is an objectively great song. Unfortunately, even for myself, I must admit, it has been overplayed to a degree that I find nauseating. And but I can tell that it's the overplaying that I don't like. It's not the song.
Right. Yes. And it's just funny to hear Billy talk about Piano Man, and he's like, it was like a live clip that we were watching, and he was saying that, whenever he goes into a place where someone is playing live piano and they see him, they start playing Piano Man every time without fail, whether it's like a grocery store or a piano bar or anywhere, etc. And they, especially if they're not singing and they're just playing the melody, they're like and then it's just that over and over and over and over and over again for 5.5 minutes. Besides the la da da dee dee da, and so yes, it's a great song, but it's also quite long.
Yes,
for what it is presenting.
Well, there's one thing that I had not remembered about Billy Joel's career, especially both in Street Life Serenade and in Piano Man, is that he has a weird dalliance with prog. Like Captain Jack is a prog song. That main riff and the way too long length for what it is.
Yeah.
That's a prog song.
But and that's kind of the thing he was bitching about on The Entertainer off of Street Life Serenade is how they cut down your best song to 3:05 because he was so fucking furious that they did a goddamn radio edit of Piano Man. Because it needed a radio edit. In order to get on the radio, they're not going to play however many minute long
it's like 5.5.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, so that's Piano Man. The reason, and again, listen to part 1, it rules, why I have An Innocent Man in that I would nominate it for this next spot is in terms of craftsmanship Billy Joel is doing great things here. Like, this is someone who has clearly studied these different sort of genres, doo-wop, acapella, kind of classic 60s, 50s pop. He knows that very well. And it's not that this record offends me. I don't hate listening to it, except for Uptown Girl, which I think even more than Piano Man has the... And I don't know why, because I think
cultural omnipresence?
Yeah, it's just so... Like, I remember at the end of the Judd Apatow, Amy Schumer joint...
Trainwreck?
Yes, Trainwreck. Like, it ends with a big dance to that song. And I was just like... It was a very sweet, sentimental moment. I was like, God, this is like the millionth time I've heard this song.
I mean, it's basically the all-star of its generation.
Yeah, and, like, you're not wrong.
Oh, God.
And so, what I will say is, as someone who very unironically and unqualifiedly loves Billy Joel, the reason why I would maybe rank an Innocent Man lower than most, and I recognize that many people regard this as like a top 3 Billy Joel album, is that it's, for me, there's a guard. Like, to me, like, his influences are obvious throughout his career, but on an Innocent Man, it feels like his posture toward the songs, as well crafted as they are, is fundamentally, I'm trying to do a Frankie Valli song. I'm trying to do like a Sammy Davis Jr. song. Like, and like that type of thing, like, and this is purely personal preference. I recognize this because I'm not saying this is a negative in the objective sense. It's just, I feel like there's a sort of barrier between me and him as the artist that I don't enjoy as much. And I recognize that's totally personal preference because, like, for example, like, for the longest time, like, I know it's been, like, killed by 1,000 different a cappella groups at your college who brought you to their charity drive or whatever. But, like, that's a great song. Like, it holds up.
And that's the thing about Innocent Man, is to feel like I am not offended by that device whatsoever. Because, not only is he, like, less bitter, he wants to talk about his new love, that's fine. Christy Lee's a terrible song regardless.
Yeah.
But that being said, like, in the liner notes, he specifically says, this song done in the style of the Supremes, done in the style of, pre-Beatles rock and roll. Like, there's a lot of references that he has in there, explicitly referencing who the artists in the question are. And the thing is that, like, if that's the device that he has to use to get there, and he's blatantly acknowledging it, I don't mind. Because the thing is, he uses it, again, I feel like true creativity, what do you do when you're an artist and you want to have a new creative breakthrough? Do you go walk into a studio and the record label said, hey, do whatever you want? Guess what? The Stone Roses, an acclaimed British dance rock band, tried that for their second album. Were in there for 8 months, were caught playing video games frequently on there because they didn't want to record anything. Eventually, like, oh, whatever, they got around to recording, but it took them like 6 months to write this new set of songs, where previously it only took them less than that significantly. Here is one of the things, I feel like great creativity comes out of boundaries, some things that you set for yourself. Think about Jack White when he recorded a White Stripes album, he says, no guitar solos on this one, or like, only these 2 instruments and nothing else, or like, he always has restrictions on himself because it forces your brain to kind of like come up with a different way of going about it.
Right, and there's the Brian Eno method, very similarly, where he's like, this isn't necessarily what they'll do for the final version, but when they're working on a song and they feel like they're stuck, he pulls out these cards and he's like, make the song blue, or like, do it in this style, or like, make it, a happy... Oh, you have the cards.
I have them. They're called oblique strategies. This is a very small tangent I want to do. But basically, Brian Eno sells these cards as well, the same ones that he gives to labels. So I think, obviously, in order to freshen up the podcast...
Public service announcement, make Coldplay Brian Eno
we need to pick a card.
So real.
All right. So we're going to pick a card at random here. Let's see what it says. So for our podcast... Ask people to work against their better judgment, Brice. So I feel like that's a good card to have. We need it for creative decisions. But the thing is that, like, him using this as a device, it completely works it. And I agree, the songs are overplayed, but as annoying as it is, Uptown Girl is like a well done, annoying as fuck pop song. Genuinely, like, honestly, again, an Innocent Man, still pretty solid, stands up there. Keeping the Faith, I kind of hate it and kind of love it at the same time. Keeping the Faith, yeah.
Yeah, no, while I do have this album pretty high in my personal ranking, I also recognize that after Uptown Girl, this album kind of falls apart.
I love Leave a Tender Moment Alone.
You do?
I do.
I mean, okay, great.
It's a good song.
But, like, Careless Talk is, like, the worst side of this doo-wop experiment.
Yeah.
It's like,
absolutely.
It's the type of doo-wop that should have been left behind in the 50s.
Firmly agree.
Christy Lee is terrible.
Yeah.
I don't like Keeping the Faith. I don't even remember what This Night sounds like, honestly.
Yeah, but then, but Tell Her About It is so solid. Like, yeah, it's just one of the things where, like, I will have ups and downs with it, but I will admire it for the fact that it was such a bold experiment. I will accept the failures and the successes kind of in stride just because he's doing something so definitely bold and such a change in pace and shift for him. Like, I can at least appreciate that aspect of it. So, I understand where you're coming from. It's not my number one. It's definitely not my number one, in fact. But, like, I wouldn't necessarily throw it yet. For me, actually, it might be coming up, honestly, but for me, again, I stand by my previous thing I said in part 1, which is Glass Houses. At this point, looking at the other albums between Piano Man, Stranger, 52nd Street, Turnstiles, Glass Houses is just like the outlier in terms of like, it's good enough.
I get what you're saying. I feel like after we talked about it, I realized how utterly wrong I was about Turnstiles. Although I do still think it's coming up. For me, it's like in the next couple spots. If it's not now.
I don't hate that.
I kind of understand your argument about Piano Man, honestly. It's quite good. Actually, one of the biggest takeaways for me this week, because I was very familiar with like Turnstiles through Glass Houses, but Ain't No Crime is actually really fun. I'm always gonna like when you bring in powerhouse backing vocalists and they're killing it. I'm always gonna enjoy that, which is actually on Innocent Man, it's not incredible, but I like Easy Money, the opening track, because it does a similar thing. But Ain't No Crime is fantastic on Piano Man. We've already talked about some of the other highlights, but like now I'm sort of falling into that feels the least like Billy Joel to me.
See, it's weird though for me, Piano Man, it feels like it is kind of a crazy all over the place album in terms of the genres that he's trying, because again, he never comes back to something like the country romance of the Ballad of Billy the Kid. But ultimately, like, there's so many pop moments that work on me here. I mean, Travel in Prayer still is such a stellar opener.
I do.
But honestly, You're My Home is just this considered gorgeous acoustic ballad. And I love that. You know, it's like finger picked and it comes down.
That's the one that's like dun 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 dun. Yes,
exactly.
Okay, great. No, that one is really nice too. I also
that also has the great line about you being my instant pleasure dome. So you know,
well, right,
which I love that so much.
Kind of a
you're
mistake.
my castle, you're my place, you are my instant pleasure dome.
I also Stop in Nevada. Was very surprising to me. That's like and now she's running off to California.
Right, and the thing is that, like, so Piano Man, it feels like more, I know that you were arguing that this is like Street Life Serenade is when Billy Joel started coming to himself. More than just the title track, Piano Man feels like an album. This feels like an extent of his abilities, and maybe he's still experimenting with genre a little bit to try and locate that sound, but it's still all together, for the most part, works for me. Yeah, there's some lesser moments on there. Somewhere Along the Line is fine. Captain Jack, while as good as a song as it is pretty clearly an Elton John ripoff, like legit, like this is purely, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road inspired. But at the same time, like I don't really use that as a fault against it. And also, it's one of the things where, say what you will about its 5-minute length, and that blows my mind about his dislike of Street Life Serenade, is that the production on Piano Man, how you have those little like gondola guitars kind of come in, like there's just this rising action to it. You have the harmonica. It's just so well composed. And it just sounds like such a perfect moment. And for me, honestly, the biggest thing about that song is when he does the la-da-da-da-da-da. That's just like a nice little dramatic grounding to it. Because otherwise it would just be pure pop fluff, when he talks about all these people coming up to him and giving him money, but then he always kind of comes down to the sad little descending line before he ramps back up again. Like, that's the power and strength of it. So, for me, Piano Man, I agree with you. Cold Spring Harbor is less of a debut. Piano Man feels like the announcement of who Billy Joel is, and I embrace it for that reason. It's not my favorite album, again, number one, but I would fight for it a little bit.
So, here's the thing. Like, in many ways, I don't hate the placing of Glass Houses in the spot that you want to place it. The thing is, and I was actually pleased, this is something I think we'll get to later, but Vulture has a really great series where they rank all of the songs of a given artist. Like, literally, they did the Beatles. And they did the Billy Joel. And I was really pleased to see that the author of that particular piece put Sleeping with a Television On in the top 5 of Billy Joel songs.
I like it, but I completely disagree.
First of all, if any of you listeners out there happen to know the great Norwegian singer-songwriter Sondre Lerche, you will know that that he is brilliant for the same reason that I like that Sleeping with the Television On, which is that it just has a lot of chords. And I know that's a very basic reason to like a song, but there are, like, I tried to learn it on guitar just playing the chords, not the melody or anything more advanced than that. But there's like 5 or 6 chords per verse, and then the chorus itself changes. And I don't know, I think that's so, I mean, the weird thing at the beginning where like the and the home of the brave, like that like little excerpt plays, and why is that there? I don't know. But
because I think that the song is supposed to be like a commentary on American culture,
which Billy Joel's not great at, frankly. But that song,
we all heard We Didn't Start the Fire.
Yes. But that song and I Don't Want to Be Alone, to me, and this is one of those things where when you don't necessarily love an album as a whole, you're weighting it based on the strength of its best songs.
Yes.
Yeah. And to me, I Don't Want to Be Alone and Sleeping with the Television On, to me, hit higher highs than Piano Man does. And I recognize I may be in the minority on that, because I remember looking at the album cover of Glass Houses when I was going to go re-listen to it, and I was like, Billy Joel cannot pull off Springsteen. He just cannot.
Right.
Sure enough, he doesn't.
Right, yeah.
But
he only barely tries. Yeah.
But I also, it's funny because we have completely different takeaways, but I think that You May Be Right, Don't Ask Me Why, and Still Rock and Roll to me are all significantly better songs than anything that's on Piano Man.
I would say, though, that being said, after we talked about it as much as we have, Glass Houses and Piano Man, next 2 slots, regardless of which slots they are, feels about right to me.
That's fair.
That's kind of what I'm saying. My personal vote would be for Glass Houses at number 6, because I nominated it in the previous episode, but if ultimately it's number 5, I'm not going to complain too much either.
Yeah, I think I would do Piano Man 6, Glass Houses 5.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. In that case, we are making some progress. Piano Man is number 6, Glass Houses at number 5.
How long did that take us?
Oh, it took us 50 minutes.
Oh, that's not
that
worst.
bad. Exactly.
Number 4, Piano Man, the entire dubstep remix. Hello.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard a banjo in dubstep remix, as you would hear if there
it's
were
called
Avicii. Is that real? Oh, I hope it's not real.
Oh,
it's real. Your face said it was
real.
real.
Me up. Or Wake Me Up?
Well, yeah, Wake Me Up.
That,
Wake me up when it's all
prominently
Oh,
over.
so that's not a remix of Evanescence's.
No, that's
I'm going to
Bring
cut
Me to Life.
literally all of this.
That's called Bring Me to Life. That's a completely different.
Well, it's not Wake Me Up. So anyway.
So, Turnstiles, The Stranger, 52nd Street, and Innocent Man is what we have left. I don't want to nominate anything. I don't. It's just
Sure.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Wait. You know what? I take that back. This might be the time for an Innocent Man. It's at the top 4.
No, I know, and that's
That's where I would have it.
I would still put Turnstiles below it, but I won't fight you guys too hard if you outvote me.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at what we have left, it has to. It's the one thing. That's the thing.
It is. I think it as much as like for me, Turnstiles doesn't have the huge takeaways. It is a better album overall than Innocent Man.
Right, and the thing is, Innocent Man, I think, in Turnstiles, I would say it's a very good album. It is an artistically considered album. An Innocent Man, I wouldn't say is artistically considered. It is a fun album, even though it's referencing it's a pop past. It's not really being historical or analytical about it. It's just reinterpreting these things to create buoyant pop songs. It's joyful. It's exciting like that. I wouldn't call those thrills necessarily the most lasting or the most artistically whatever. It's still a great album. It's still a fun album, which is more because it's probably more fun than some of the other albums on here because this is again artistic Billy Joel that we're really getting into.
Yeah,
but like. Yeah, for me, it would have to be Innocent Man at number 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
You agree with that? Okay. Cool, fantastic. 6, Piano Man. 5, Glass Houses. Number 4 in... Oh, I'm sorry. 6, Piano Man, 5, Glass Houses, 4 in Innocent Man. Turnstile, Stranger, 52nd Street. How about this? Before we do anything.
Turnstiles.
Yeah.
No, before we do anything, it's Turnstiles.
I agree.
I can't possibly put Turnstiles above either of the other two.
Okay, cool. Okay.
We have talked about it a decent amount, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, so in that case, we have Turnstiles at number 3. Okay, guys, so now it's down to, of course, our good friends, The Stranger and 52nd Street. I don't want to rank anything right now. The biggest thing that I want to do, I just want to talk about them in chronological order. So, dear friends, countrymen, what have you, let's talk about The Stranger, just by itself.
Yeah.
So this is the album where, following Turnstiles, he was like, and he produced it himself. There was some hits on there. It was mainly the biggest thing where all of us, and also we haven't even talked about Miami 2017. We'll say that for the mini.
There's a reason. It's so
it's because it
overloved by his
predicted
fans.
The Trump presidency, because as we all know, when Trump got elected, he made the Mar-a-Lago in Florida, which I think is in Miami, or one of those, his winter White House, as we have unfortunately come to learn in the news media. So, Billy Joel predicted Donald Trump.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think he's the recipe a number of times.
Okay.
All right. So here's the thing. So following the success of Turnstiles, though, he wanted to do something, and he found a producer, Phil Ramone. Phil Ramone is probably best known for producing Simon and Garfunkel's solo albums, in particular Paul Simon's Crazy After All These Years. So, dude had credentials, and one of the nice things about it is that he had a great way of being like, instrumentation, we need something new on here. And almost like every song on The Stranger has a unique sonic element that is something outside of Billy Roll's, experience of drums and piano and bass and what have you. Mm-hmm. But the thing about it is that, like, you could be a good producer, you can really find the great moments in a song where you need those little oboes, or you need those little, horns, or those other little elements that need to come in. But most importantly, I feel like Phil Ramone was great he was at the right moment, and he had Billy Joel deliver some of the best songs of his entire career.
Right, production aside, the songwriting here is so phenomenal. I mean, like, Scenes from an Italian Restaurant on its own is just such a behemoth. That's one of the first, I mean, no, it's not one of the first times that there were, like, huge sweeping movements in a pop song. But it's probably one of the most...
Bohemian Rhapsody came out before, I think.
Yes.
Well, sure, but I think it's one of the most iconic kind of those songs. You have all three of the movements have happened by the 3-minute mark, and it's a 7-minute track. But, like, each of those individual sections is just so uniquely brilliant and iconic on its own that, like, I almost forget that they're all part of the song. And also, it's crazy how after, he starts the reminiscing section, and then before the Brenda and Eddie section, there's this whole, like, piano breakdown, the boop-a-doop, boop-a-doop-a-doop. And that almost feels like it's preparing for the finale.
Yeah.
Like, and then he brings in the whoa, whoa for the first time. And it's like, every time I listen to it, I think, oh my God, are we already there? But no, we're just fucking getting started. And I think that's part of the brilliance of it, is that every moment... you're like suspenseful and you're anticipating the rest of the song coming. But that's just an album track. Like, the singles on here, Moving Out, as cliche as it may be. Sure, that. But it's still my favorite Billy Joel song.
Yeah.
Moving Out is?
Moving Out.
That's not a bad choice.
Well, also that opening, as soon as you hear, like, that staccato piano... Yeah. That was terrible.
That was so bad.
So the thing is that was so bad. But, like, the other thing is that he really, more so now in this moment, because I feel like a lot of his other songs were, like, either, like, rough characters, but it was mainly stuff that was about him and his life. He really dives full bore into the I'm writing character observations here.
Yeah, completely.
Because this is Anthony's song, it's Moving Out. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the song that opened the Twyla Tharp jukebox musical based on Billy Joel's work, Moving Out, which was a whole thing to happen on Broadway for a time. And his songs easily translate to Broadway. There's no questioning that.
Especially Scenes from an Italian Restaurant.
But the thing about... Right, and the thing is, we could talk about that. We could talk about how lovely, and I do mean it is lovely just the way you are, is just like... You want to talk about, like, synth pads matching the mood perfectly, but then you have the swells that come in near the end. It's just, like, fantastic. It reminds me of 10cc.
Just the Way You Are is almost, like, such a good ballad that it feels more like Stevie Wonder, because I feel like Stevie Wonder was the guy who, like, took those synths and took balladry to that, like, that place where you managed not to be saccharine. It was just, like, brilliant and beautiful. And I feel like a lot of other artists, especially in the late 70s, who were trying to do synth balladry, just made it super cheesy. And then that got even worse in the 80s. So, like, that's why, as much as, Just the Way You Are is like almost a cliche at this point. Unfortunately, whenever I hear it start, I think about the karaoke section at the end of Shrek. Anyone else remember that? Anyway, but that's, again, it just, this album like doesn't have any weak parts. Like even for me, the weakest song on here is Get It Right the First Time.
What? Are you kidding me?
And
I agree with that.
I'm saying that's the weakest song on here, but like other albums in this discography weep to have a song that good on them.
Right,
you know
because
what I mean?
honestly, as soon as he gets to that chorus, you gotta get it right the first, and then you hear like that hi-hat clanging on there and the drum kit, and then he goes to the la 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 la.
Yeah, it's great.
And you got the little flute.
Speaking of
yeah.
Stevie Wonder moments.
Oh yeah, speaking of, yeah, and the thing is that one for me, Everybody Has a Dream is probably the weakest song, and that's the last song on there. Because otherwise, you still have Vienna. Which is like gorgeous, and the more you know about Billy Joel's backstory is actually haunting in its own specific way in terms of his reconciliation with his father,
right?
Which is
because isn't
great.
Vienna where his dad left too?
Yes,
he decided
absolutely.
he didn't like America and went back to Vienna,
right?
Like,
and for me, honestly, the title track, "The Stranger," that one is just—it's a great song about like, guess what? No one's gonna get to know the real you. You have these masks that you wear on in public, but they are just masks, and that's the thing. You're not gonna ever actually find out who the real person is underneath, and it's just like depressing, but it's still married to a fucking pop song, and so like he's unafraid to be biting and honest and visceral in like all these different moments. He's a storyteller, and he is a soothsayer, and he is a confessing so many things as well. Again, She's Always a Woman is violent. It is a violent song, and yet it's still, there's a sweetness to it at the same time. The things this woman is going to do to you is like,
well, yeah, it's one of those like, there are tons of red flags, but I love her anyway moments,
right.
Which it's very problematic, but I appreciate it. Like,
no, I disagree here, actually, because if we're going to talk about different problematic ways of talking about women in Billy Joel's discography, with the two albums we're talking about right now, we have a contrast. We have, and even ultimately, I don't think these both are anti-feminist songs. You have She's Always a Woman, and you have Stiletto on 52nd Street. And the thing about both of these songs is, and Billy Joel's talked about this, is that She's Always a Woman is framed as a misogynistic song by many interpreters. But the thing that makes that difficult, lyrically, is that, yes, there are the different catalogs. She can kill with a smile, she can win with her eyes, ruin your faith with your casual lies. But every verse ends with She's Always a Woman. And so, it's not that she's a bitch, it's not that she's a harlot, it's not that any of the, like,
not that she's a video hoe.
Yeah, it's not that she's any of the misogynistic words to which have been affixed to women who do bad things. It's that no matter what she does, even if it's the worst thing in the world, she's still a woman. And you have to respect her for that reason.
I think my favorite line in it, though, despite all those things, is that she always throws shadows at you.
Yeah.
Which is just, I don't know, there's something about that line which is always fascinating to me. But I understand, like, this album was a hit. Like, Piano Man was a hit, but this album was a hit.
Piano Man, the song, was a hit.
Right.
The Stranger, the album, was a bigger hit.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that, like, the biggest thing, that's why, especially once he found Phil Ramone as a producer, he's like, oh, you get me. You get what I'm trying to do.
There's a reason Phil produced the next 4 or 5 albums?
Yeah, Phil was involved for a good time there, but he was also the producer on 52nd Street. And 52nd Street it's one of those things where, like, it was recorded quickly after, it still feels like a different beast. It doesn't feel like the immediate sequel to The Stranger, if you know what I mean, It feels like he wanted to try something new, something a little bit more expansive, a little bit more jazzy, and sometimes a little bit more overt. Like, don't get me wrong, there's pop moments on The Stranger, absolutely, but nothing quite the vein of, like, the almost Vegas style My Life.
It's funny you said My Life, because that definitely demonstrates your point, but I thought you were about to say Half a Mile Away, which is also a huge pop moment. Again, brings out really great harmony vocals, like poppier than anything on The Stranger. But it's still like, it's so fucking good. Like, Half a Mile Away is probably also one of my favorite.
Also, the name
songs.
of a great song by Oasis, not related to the song we just talked about.
Thanks, Brice.
All right.
But okay, so 52nd Street is also interesting because it has one of my. I sort of forgot about this song.
Please say Zanzibar. Please say Zanzibar.
Well, Zanzibar is like a full Steely Dan ripoff.
Yes.
Zanzibar,
like, start
fucks,
to finish,
ladies and gentlemen.
and
Zanzibar
it slaps.
fucks.
It is a quite good song. But no, I was going to talk about Until the Night. Until the Night. Again, I didn't realize I was such a ballad whore, but like, Until the Night is like one of the best ballads ever recorded. And we did Whitney Houston earlier this season. Like, Until the Night, it's so much fun. It's so much fun to sing, first of all. It's one of the best vocal performances of his career, going from like the lowest lows on the verses, and then like just screaming on those choruses.
And those string sections sawing in. Yeah.
And it also manages to... I forget that song is 6 minutes long. Because it's a very slow tempo, so it takes a long time to cover its ground. But there's so much suspense and beautiful orchestration, and I just fucking love it.
This is the only thing that you can do when you're a big shot. That's really, gotta be honest. I mean, it's interesting. Like, for me, honestly, I gotta be honest. Honesty might be one of my least favorite songs.
It's a bad song.
Yeah, like, it's one of the things, like, it's fine, and I know a lot of people love it. It's one of his most listened to ballads.
I don't know if you know this.
I like it.
But everyone is really so untrue.
Yes.
Back me up on this, Taran.
I know what I mean. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is that, like, then you have the Cuban detour that is Rosalinda's Eyes, and it's nice. It's fine.
There's so many Cuban detours. Every time it shows up, I'm just like, why? Stop trying to do reggae.
Cuban detours, that's what I do when I shop for cigars in Canada. What's up?
Brice, I think you're banned from saying anything else for the rest of the episode. So I think we've just made the determination right
Thanks
there.
for playing. You're done.
But that being said, like, the thing is, 52nd Street is still a big, strong, confident pop album. But for me, when it comes down to these two, it is no contest. The 52nd Street Billy Joel is a guy who is, like, reveling in his success, trying out new things, new textures, new flavors. The Stranger is an announcement. It is a proclamation.
Yep.
The thing I love about The Stranger is the fact that it is, for me, the definitive Billy Joel album. But the thing is, the reason why it's the definitive Billy Joel album is because it has such a broad stretch. Because Billy Joel is not the piano man. He is so many more things than that.
Yeah.
He is a brilliant pop songwriter. He's vulnerable. He is angry. He is sensitive. He is sweet. He is all these different things at once. It is a contradiction of terms. And that, I think, is the appeal of the most basic and most, guttural reaction to a Billy Joel statement.
And the other thing about The Stranger is that it has the most iconic album tracks.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, like, Scenes from an Italian Restaurant in Vienna were not singles, but they are both so iconic among Billy Joel fans that, like, they have to be included on greatest hits records. And that's even the songs that, like, didn't chart as well, like Only the Good Die Young, Always a Woman, like, these are
I'm surprised you Only the Good Die Young. That's another one that has lasted through time. Only the Good Die Young.
That peaked at 24. Isn't that insane?
I mean, I want to say that it was the New Yorker's TV critic, Emily Nussbaum, who described Only the Good Die Young as Catholic blurred lines.
Okay,
I cannot unhear.
So I was watching a lot of clips of him just, like, talking to college students, because on his Vivo channel he has a lot of just interview clips. And in 1994, someone asked him about and what the other members of his bands were doing for, what was it, the Hassles? Yeah, was his first band. And, like, so they asked him, like, so what happened to the members of Attila and the Hassles? He talked about, well, Attila, I'm actually pretty good friends with the guy, John, there, because initially, I kind of stole his wife, and then I divorced her, so now we both have an ex-wife that we share, so we're able to talk about that. It's good. And he was talking about the members of the Hassles, and, like, like, one of them died, and, some of them have gone into different things, and, one of them turned into a Jesus freak, and it's always weird how, the Jesus freaks, as soon as they find Jesus, they're right, you're wrong. And I got a letter from one of them the other day, and it was about Only the Good Die Young. He talked about how he was blaspheming and other things, and it was funny, though, because that was a perfect time, because I remember Only the Good Die Young came out, and it was dying on the charts. It wasn't doing anything. And, like, Radio banned it, the Archdiocese banned it from whatever the Archdiocese can ban things from, like, they were doing all these things, but as soon as the Archdiocese did that move, all of a sudden people started taking an interest in it, being like, what's being so bad?
Billy Joel song that got banned?
Right, exactly, and all of a sudden it started going up the charts. So I wrote a letter to the Archdiocese later saying, thank you so much for your help in making this a success, which I thought was interesting too, which is why, like, I think people may have been a little bit, kind of like how they used to be afraid when you put God in the title of a song or something like that,
It's also funny, I remember my dad telling me about a time that my parents saw Billy Joel live, and this was, like, relatively early in their relationship, and Only the Good Die Young came on, and my mom like lost her mind because my parents were both raised Roman Catholic, and so it was very much like this resonated with a large group of people very specifically.
Yeah, and I think looking, and it seems, I don't want to speak for the both of you, but it seems that an underlying supposition of our conversation that we've just been having is that The Stranger is a better record than 52nd Street.
Yeah. And
what's frustrating about that for me is I feel that with many of my opinions about classic artists, especially that I love. So, like, for example, my favorite Led Zeppelin record is, and I mentioned this in the first part of the episode, is A House of the Holy, which most people would not put at their number one spot necessarily. But The Stranger is the most obvious candidate to put. And so when I was re-listening to the Billy Joel discography, I was like, I need to see if there's some way that I can unseat this. Because, like, the first...
You don't want to get to that critical
right,
group
that
thing.
just, like,
yeah.
easy, like, well, this is the obvious choice.
Right.
Which we've done before,
I don't want to be lazy. I want to actually realize, because, like, the first two Billy Joel songs that I remember distinctly are Scenes from an Italian Restaurant and Vienna, the latter particularly. Like, Vienna, like, when I first heard it, I was like, that really speaks to me in some way. And I couldn't tell you, as, like,
exactly why
12-year-old, why I liked that song.
My dad actually performed Vienna at his 50th birthday concert.
Oh, nice!
With my cousin playing clarinet on it.
Aww. I mean, if you're 50 and you get to perform a 50th birthday concert, you're already cool. But
you heard it here first. My dad is cool, said Brice Ezell.
Here.
The king of cool, Brice Ezell.
When I look down the track list, the only two songs for which I might have some hesitation, genuinely, are Get It Right the First Time and Everybody Has a Dream. And I like both of those songs. I don't love them in the way that I love, say, Scenes from an Italian Restaurant or Vienna.
Right.
But the thing that I love about this record, like, if I can, like, I could go down the track list of each song and explain why everyone has some significance. I really can't do that with 52nd Street.
Right, I know.
Big Shot, great.
Yeah.
Honesty, boring ballad, because, I'm sorry, Honesty, Everyone is So Untrue is not a great lyric.
I mean, I like Honesty, but he has so many better piano ballads that, like, it's fine to leave it in the dust.
But let's just talk about the 1-2 punch. I'm determined to talk about these two songs because they are slept on in the Billy Joel discography. But we have to talk about them because this is what this podcast is about. Zanzibar and Stiletto. Both of those songs.
You really like Stiletto that much?
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
I feel like that's a hip hop beat that, like, and I found that it had been sampled.
Beat.
Yeah,
that's not what I was thinking, but continue.
Yeah, I feel like that had been used, and when I looked it up later, it was used in a couple things, like De La Soul used it on their first album, a couple other places, which is like, it feels like it's meant to be like a beat for something, of just like, you know, this very simple piano line, a little bit of bass, and then there'd be some rapping over.
But so 52nd Street earns its title from a district in New York City that was the jazz part of town for quite some time. And so you obviously get that with Zanzibar, which, as Taran pointed out, is a very clear, if not Steely Dan ripoff, it's very Steely Dan sharing from the same cigarette. He
is unshy about blatantly showing his influences, and he's definitely singing like Donald Fagen on Zanzibar.
Well, I don't know if
it's not just the production.
I don't even know if there's a major or minor chord in that song. I think it's all seventh chords.
It's all
jazz chords.
Yeah. All right. Well, in that case, I think it's pretty definitive what is going on, guys. Number 6 is Piano Man. Number 5 is Glass Houses. Number 4 is An Innocent Man. Number 3 is Turnstiles. Number 2 is 52nd Street. And as we know, number 1 is Fantasies and Delusions, classical compositions by Billy Joel. No, I'm kidding. It is The Stranger. That is the last number 1 of season 3. I'm really happy about it. And guys, listen, we know that with all of these albums and all of these iconic songs, you got your own opinions, and we want to hear them. So if you wouldn't mind doing us a favor and finding us on Facebook or commenting on SoundCloud, there's some SoundCloud commenters on there right now, and I love all the hot takes that are coming out of there.
Yeah.
Twitter, Reddit. Also, you know what? The Chartographers at gmail.com if you just want to get on our face about it. Bryce, and we'll forward them on to Bryce, and he will fight you verbally.
Sibilance.
And it will be great. And most importantly, though...
Oh my God.
Holy shit, he's drunk. Most importantly, though, if you also want to do us a favor, leave us your opinions when you rank us on iTunes. Any review there, it genuinely helps us, gives us visibility. It's fantastic. And most importantly, Brice Ezell, Thank you.
Thank
for
you very
being
much.
Here. I'm so glad you were here for
I
this.
cannot believe that there are people who want to talk about all 12 Billy Joel records with me.
And again, I went into it just knowing the pop hits. I wasn't expecting to come out of this being like, oh wait, Billy Joel's a fucking genius. And that's what I did. Like, all the, bad songs aside, I was just like blown away this week by how good he is.
Just the sheer, even like, he has a decent amount of bland music. Yeah. Absolutely. But
Absolutely.
The heights that he reaches consistently are very impressive.
Yeah.
Completely.
So, that being said, we can't wait to hear from you. In the meantime, though, keep on listening, because as always, you know that we'll be. Have a good one, guys. Happy hour meeting. So next, goodbye!
Heat of the moment, I thought that I could myself.
Welcome to the Reviewniverse promo! The Reviewniverse with Chris and Steve is a podcast about two men who are hired to review everything in the universe.
We're stuck in a tiny room together filled with pneumatic tubes while two shadowy figures dictate what we have to review next.
Anything from pizza
To pop stars.
to the entire state of Wisconsin.
A new episode every Thursday wherever you get your podcasts.
We give this promo a 100 out of 100.